Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
Another day, another WotC oopsie. We're going to talk about Wizards of the Coast and more fan backlash. We did a video yesterday. I think we were like, as far as I know, we're like the only people talking about this, but there was an interview with Hasbro CEO Chris Cox, and he basically said that they were going to bleed their super fans more, their tabletop gaming fans, their adult collectors. They were going to bleed them more and kind of ease off of the kids because the parents don't have money because food costs too much.
Yes, because it's food. It's food inflation that is keeping people from spending money at Hasbro.
Right, and this
not because their toys are too expensive.
Not because the toys are garbage and they cost too much. And this was, the CEO of Wizards of the Coast last year saying that DnD was under monetized, right? And then they had the whole OG, well, because basically Dungeon Masters buy the books for the most part.
Right, but they kept making up charges though.
Yes. Well, they wanted to turn it into a shitty mobile app, and that's what they're doing with their virtual tabletop and the one D&D and all that stuff, D&D Beyond. And so then they had that. So that was another blow against them. Then they had the Magic the Gathering card debacle, right? And this is before the Pinkertons.
Oh, no, before the Pinkertons.
They were overproducing cards.
Oh, they were landfills. The landfill thing.
Then we had the OGL 1.1 debacle where they basically told the fans, yeah, you can make stuff for us, but we own it.
Yeah. We take it all.
We're just gonna take it all. We can use it however we want to. But no, guys, we're really on your side. Don't worry about it. Well, okay, so now all this stuff and the Pinkertons, we gotta throw the Pinkertons in there. They hired the Pinkertons. All this shit.
And more.
And more. Well, now there's more, because now they're like, okay, the new books are coming out, guys, and people are like, okay, they're not gonna replace 5e. They said that the new version of D&D just expands or simplifies the 5e rules, which have been incredibly popular. I personally hate it, but they've been incredibly popular, right? Well, the book prices are going through the roof now.
How much are they normally?
I think now they're like 30, 40 bucks. Now they're gonna be like 60.
Holy sh!
Or they could go up to $60. Well, anyway, this is like the final straw for the people that were already on the fence about quitting D&D. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, if it's taken you this long to get there, you're not gonna actually quit D&D. I don't think you're actually going to.
Welcome to our side. We have orcs and drows.
We do.
Sorry.
We do. So the game's only as racist as you make it.
Right.
So we're going to talk about this. Before we get into it further, please subscribe for more pop culture, news, views, and rants, guys. You'll get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Geeky is sitting in on this one because she sat in on yesterday's video with Chris Cox and his line of bullshit.
I'm just here for Cox. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I'm not a D&D player. I'm not gonna lie. It's not my thing. I've tried.
Well, maybe you would prefer something like Adventure Engine.
Maybe I would.
Maybe you would prefer Adventure Engine, which is a thing that is being worked on currently that is aiming to kind of be a throwback to 80s RPGs, but also something that's easier to understand than tabletop gaming has been in recent years, and also something that is not going to break the bank. We kind of envision it as the initial set being everything you need to play in one box. And you can play for a long time. It's like the everlasting gobstopper. We'd like you to buy more stuff, but it's okay if you just buy the basic set. We're getting there. We're getting there. So you can go to adventureengine.net and sign up for that to be notified when there's more progress being made on that. And, we'll let you know when it's going to be a thing. It's definitely a thing we're working on. I'm very excited. The progress so far. I got to get that in there because people are looking for alternatives.
Yes, he's very excited.
People are looking for alternatives. They are. And this is driving people away. It is a great time to be anybody other than Wizards of the Coast.
It's just the price gouging is just getting out of hand. We were at Walmart yesterday and I took pictures and put on Twitter. Like even like their basic like figures are like $25, $35.
Oh, for that Hasbro.
They're tiny. The ones that are 7 are like these tiny little animal things that turn in the Beast Wars ones that turn into weapons.
They're terrible.
They're just little things that literally turn into a gun or sword. Like they're itty bitty and they're like $7.
Somebody broke it down in the video we did yesterday about Transformers and how they've raised prices on them and cut back on the quality and the paint apps. And I'm like, I remember when I first started collecting again, we first got married, like the figures that were $25, $30 then are now like $60 figures.
Yeah, they were huge figures then.
They
I
were
mean,
like
granted,
Optimus and
inflation,
Megatron.
they would be like 30 or 40 now, but not that. Yeah,
and they were much nicer figures. They were built better. The plastic, it wasn't hollow. They had paint apps. Now I'm looking at the redecos for the Transformers every time they announce the Legacy, and I'm like, they're basically, cheaping out. They're trying to pick ones that have minimal paint apps. They're like, oh, this character's great. I've been wanting this character. Oh, it just happens to be all green plastic, so you don't have to do any paint apps or anything on it. Yeah, so it's like, of course they're giving you that one because that's easy. Anyway, let's talk about Wizards of the Coast, which is their major moneymaker right now. For how much longer remains to be seen. I think a lot of people are going to walk away. D&D books are about to get more expensive. This is coming from Kotaku, weirdly enough.
Kotaku and Cox in the same video?
Kotaku
Hot damn, it's my lucky day.
But actually, Kotaku and Polygon and Gizmodo have been riding Wizards pretty hard. And it's so weird, because I remember when I was riding Cox hard.
Sorry.
When I was a young man. No, I remember when I would say anything critical about Wizards of the Coast at all. Here comes Twitter to tell.
When you were a young man, you rode Cox hard? You said...
That came out wrong.
I'm sorry. I was very thrown off. Continue.
Just kind of snuck that in there. Hey, we have something to talk about after this video.
Something was snuck in there.
Anyway,
go ahead.
Anyway, people are like, they get on me. They're like, what's with all the pervy jokes? I'm like, the guy's name is Cox and he's fucking over the fans. I mean, come on. There's nothing you can really... Come on.
Okay, I'll be good. I'll try to be good for the rest of the video.
Okay.
I can't promise, but I will try my best.
They
just write themselves. Anyway, go ahead.
They do, but...
I'm sorry, get to the point.
Pretend
I'm not here.
Rulebooks are the Bible of any tabletop role-playing game, yeah. And you have to buy, at least 3 to get started with D&D, right? They retail for $49.95. That's what they are currently. Holy shit. So $150. Additional D&D brand books of similar scope sold for the same price. Others have sold for less, depending on the amount of content. Wizards of the Coast is now signaling rising cost of book production will bring the price of physical copies up to $59.95 for new books. Digital content and previously published material is said to remain unaffected by the new price. They're going to try to push people into buying digital because they want people to buy digital because they can upcharge you.
Because they're going to say the same price. Because $50, they had to pay for the cost of book, shipping it to the store, and all that. With the digital, they get all the money.
Yeah.
So, do I think prices have gone up on printing and it's harder to get? Yes, I can tell you for a fact that printing's much harder now than it was 2 years ago.
But when you are printing at the scale that Hasbro is, you're talking, they're probably only paying like $1 a book.
Yeah, they're paying very little for those books.
Right.
And then, even if they have to ship them and sell them to retailers or whatever, they're just make a lot more. They can charge the same amount for a digital copy and make a lot more money.
Yeah, it's like having a board game manufacturer expects every player has his own copy of the game itself before playing. Yeah, this is something that needs to change, because I remember back in the day, and I know I'm old, but back in the day with the basic set, you bought the basic set, you and your friends played the basic set, and it was like $20, $15 or $20, and it had everything you needed, and yeah, it was in black and white, but it had everything you needed to get started. And you didn't have to, you could buy your own copy if you wanted to have, a manual to go through to reference it. But for the most part, like, the group bought that copy. The group bought the module or whatever. Mostly we made up our own stuff. And now when you have a company like Hasbro that just wants more and more and more and more, they're just going to keep raising the barrier to entry. And so where we have people bitching and moaning about the cost of dice. You're bitching about the cost of dice, but the damn handbooks are $60 each, and you have to buy 3.
You can get the dice for like a couple bucks.
Not to mention the fact that an overwhelming number of people in the tabletop role-playing fandom either has the knowledge themselves or directly knows a guy who can acquire a searchable PDF version for no cost. This is going to drive more people away, but they're trying to push people into digital. And what's funny is some of the most vocal defenders of WotC are now turning on Wizards of the Coast. And again, not this person in particular, but there were several people on Twitter that when I started raising some flags about Wizards of the Coast and some of their bullshit, they're like, you're just an alt-right bigot because you don't like that the orcs aren't black people anymore. I'm like, I never thought the orcs were black people.
Exactly.
You're the ones who
Right.
thought the orcs were black people. That never even crossed my mind. It never once crossed my mind. But if that's how you think about black people, that's on you, fam. That is not a me problem. Reminder that WotC is a shit company for shit people now. No one should be okay with a company that employs the Pinkertons. I'm going to finish out the current 5e game that I'm running for my players' behalf and never touch their shit again. I think a lot of people, I have a good friend of mine who is a huge tabletop gamer. In fact, he was part of our group back in the day, and he still games. And he's like, I've been running D&D, but he's like, I'm switching to Pathfinder. Like, I'm done with Wizards of the Coast. And on top of all the other shit, now is not a good time to raise your prices and then brag about how you're raising your prices. Like, yeah, we're going to go after all those gamers and those adult collectors. We're just going to gouge them. We're going to make up all the lost revenue we're not getting from the kids.
Well, I have to laugh because the audience they've been chasing, I mean, this isn't everyone, of course, but predominantly that activist type audience tends to not have money.
Yes. So this is where this whole thing, just all of your logic comes off the rails here. Hasbro, the audience you're chasing now currently tends to be older, established dudes, because that's mostly who played D&D, let's be honest, all those years. Older dudes who have careers and they do the tabletop gaming. Now they have money to run the campaigns of their dreams. They get their own D&D room and all the books that they wanted to buy they could never afford before and all this shit. And you're banking on them. These are the people that will drop a couple $100 on Warhammer figures and they don't even flinch, right? It's nothing to them. That's your audience. But then you got your guy who's in charge of D&D, Kyle Brink, out there basically telling, hey, we don't want you middle-aged white guys. We don't want you guys.
Basically.
And they're the ones buying this shit. Let's be honest.
And when they don't, part of the price hike is probably because people aren't buying it anymore. So the ones that are, they're going to try to get the money out of you. But yeah, they have a calculator. But the inflation is crap. But so is WotC, trying to sneak an extra 10 out of everyone and blaming it on inflation. No, not just blaming it on inflation. They're blaming it on food prices.
On food prices. Watch our video. If you're watching this video now, because this is specifically about Dungeons and Dragons and the price hikes, go out and watch our Hasbro video yesterday. We covered this article that was massively overlooked. Like, I don't know if anybody else was covering this, where, or at least they weren't at the time, where Chris Cox was bragging about how they were basically going to bleed their adult collector, market with disposable income to make up for the loss in kids buying toys because, the parents have to choose between food or toys. And that was like his thing. And this is a guy who's looking to drive more revenue. This company is not doing well for many, many reasons, and this does not freaking help. But he's only been in charge for a year and a half, and on his watch, Hasbro has gone to shit. This company has gone to shit every level, not just Wizards of the Coast, but every level of Hasbro has gone to shit.
They could have tried a refreshing take, and instead of raising it $10, lower it several dollars, and I bet they would have sold a hell of a lot more. And people would have been like, yay,
It's called a loss leader. So back in the day, again, with D&D.
Oh, I know what it's called.
Under TSR, well, I'm just telling our audience is much smarter than that, I'm sure. But we get some stupid people in here based on some of the comments. Right. But, so what you do, it's like game consoles. You make the game console affordable, and then you count on people buying games for it. You make the printer affordable, and then you count on people having to buy ink cartridges at $20, $30 a pop from now until the time they, upgrade the machine. D&D back in the day under TSR, you bought the core rule set or you bought the core manuals, and really that's all you needed. But they also had lots of supplements and modules for you to buy too, if you wanted to. It was optional. But now, again, the barrier to entry back then was for $60 you could buy everything you needed and then some, and now it's like the barrier to entry is like $60 a book. So yeah, Dungeon Master Guide, Player Guide, Monsters Manual, boom, there's $180. Right now it's $150. I mean, that's a hell of a lot. That's a hell of a big ask, right? For somebody to get into tabletop gaming. Now, what they're saying, it's really interesting because I actually mentioned this kind of offhandedly in some of the videos I've done when I've talked somewhat about Adventure Engine. They said that they want to have a section basically introducing people to the concept of role-playing games, which is something we intend to do. And I think I talked a little bit about that, but I said they're not doing anything to bring in new players. The D&D basic set under TSR did that. They basically explained it to you in the first couple pages. Like, this is what a role-playing game is. You know, before you do anything, like, just so you know what you're doing, because they just assumed you didn't know. But now, because the amounts of money it takes to get into this hobby are so obscene. I mean, you're talking like, you buy a game console or you could buy a bunch of books.
Yeah, and the thing is, and that's just the books. That's not like, you know...
modules, miniatures, supplements.
And that doesn't give you players.
No.
You know, you have to have friends, too.
Well, that's okay. No, now you can buy friends. Now you can buy friends because they have the virtual tabletop. So you all can
this is the online
play
thing?
virtually because they realize that, you know, people just... they don't have friends in real life anymore.
Well, no, I honestly, I blame generational things. I blame COVID because it's weird for me because we see kids today, and I see it all the time as when I work as a teacher and as a parent and stuff. They just don't seem to know how to interact with other people. And at the colleges, I've seen it where people just go to class, go to the room, and they lock themselves up in there and watch, you know, their TikToks and all that, or they're making TikToks constantly, or, you know, Instagrams or Snapchat or whatever. And they're not actually engaging with physical people around them, just people online. And you can have a lot of friends online. I do. But you still need to have people in your real world, you know, too, in your real everyday life that you physically are around and know how to interact with others. And I think that's especially since the age is going younger and younger with the way they've been focusing on these people, except they're trying to change it now. Yeah. They're going to run into a lot of people who might not have physical friends, that might have a lot of digital friends.
That actually is true. I mean, that's one thing that, you know, the closest friends I had growing up, a lot of us, you know, started gaming together because we were kind of the outcasts, you know, and we started gaming together, and then we were, you know, did the comic shop thing together and played video games together, and that was kind of our, like...
You still have your books somewhere, don't you?
No, we sold them.
Oh, did we?
We did. I had, and now they're...
Oh, you said you're never going to play it again. That's why I forgot about that.
And now they're worth a fortune. Like, I've tried to go back and see how much some of my old books were, and mine were like pristine condition.
They were.
Everything
you had was like ridiculous condition.
OCD. So anyway, I did, like, even my G.I. Joes, I had them all, their file cards and everything in little bags with all their guns and everything. Yeah, I had lots of toys that were in
I can
very
confirm.
Minty condition.
Yeah,
Let's put it that way. And we sold them when we first got married, and then we sold some more toys when we bought our first house. And
I sold toys too.
You sold toys, and, you know, but yeah, the stuff that we've had over the years, I look at the prices now, I'm like, damn. Mm-hmm. You know, even the D&D books, they did not go for that much because people were back then, they're like, oh yeah, D&D is still available. I don't think people realized like how bad it was going to get, and they're like, oh my god, I really want second edition Ravenloft, please. You know, I want Dark Sun again because they're never going to make it again. I had like all that.
And they don't offer them digitally?
They do, but
a lot of people want the actual physical books, which I understand.
Because God forbid, you know, WotC goes all in and is just like, we're not going to offer any of this content anymore because this was made by a bunch of racists and bigots, so we're going to pull it down.
Well, yeah, they weren't even pronouncing the original people's names right and stuff.
They had this was, that was Gen Con. I think it was Gen Con.
Of course, it's Gen Con.
Which was founded by Gary Gygax, by the way. But they had a round table of cosplay girls or something.
Exactly the way you'd think they looked.
Exactly what you would think. And these kids were like in their early 20s, and they couldn't even pronounce Gary Gygax's name. I'm like...
But they could pronounce all the words associated with him that they wanted, the slams they wanted to make.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm like, this guy...
Because somebody told me.
He created the game you're playing. Well, no, he didn't create the game you're playing. You're playing a bastardized version of the game he created. But he created... Dungeons and Dragons, co-created Dungeons and Dragons, and he started Gen Con, and now like you guys are like banning his son from being able to attend because you're a bunch of petty bitches, but whatever. Anyway, yeah, so now everybody's like, oh, WotC's bad. I'm like, you bitches. Like, you whiny bitches. 2-3 years ago, we got so much shit. We got so much shit for that.
I was thinking about the comments here. Like, you give WotC more money after they got caught with the Pinkertons. We should all live honestly. I'm like, we've been telling you guys for a while now. I mean, just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
But now it's morally okay.
No, the Pinkerton thing really took a lot out of their bank account. Piracy.
Yeah, basically.
Here's the thing. I mean, the thing about tabletop games isn't so much of it you make it up. Like, you can still play the same versions of the game you bought years ago. I mean, I remember my grandparents' house, they bought Monopoly back in like the 1950s, and we could have bought a new Monopoly game. We could have. It had new pieces, or
well, there's a million Monopolies now.
There's a million Monopolies now, but we still played that old game from the 1950s, and it played just fine.
Probably built better.
It was. It was actually came in like a velour box, and it was nice. It was a nice set. It was like their anniversary set or something. But we played that one for years, and so I was kind of surprised that when I was a kid, I went to the store. I'm like, I can't find this version of Monopoly. I'm like, yeah, because they bought like 1952 or something. You know?
Right.
You can still play first, second, third edition D&D. You do not need to buy the new editions. But this is.
Or play other places on D&D. There's all kinds.
You could
try something new.
You could. You could try something
like
new.
this.
No, there are plenty of other options out there, guys.
This is still a ways off.
Yeah, this is a ways off. I'm just saying there are lots of options out there, and I think this is just insane. It doesn't, like, your PR has never been lower, and now you're gonna
up the price on it on top of everything else. Like I said, you could have
Disney.
You could have lowered the price a few dollars. Let's be honest here. Printing costs up a little bit, but like Neon said, as many as you buy at a time, you're not paying much for those books. A couple bucks at the most. You could have lowered it a few dollars. People would have been and said, "Oh, because of inflation, we want to make sure more people can play. We want to make it more affordable for people. Even lower it $10." You would have probably sold more than enough books to offset the increase, as opposed to what you're going to sell now with the increase, and you would have had good PR with it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because right now, you need all the help you can get, because right now all people are looking at Hasbro is like, man, you're just trying to bleed us dry, and they're gleefully doing that. And this is a very Disney move.
Yeah, it's not smart.
It's not smart at all.
You could have just done the opposite way and say, hey, yeah, because of inflation, we understand food costs are rising and stuff, and people, which is so stupid. People have to choose between milk and buying a $60 Dungeons and Dragons book. So we're going to make it $40 for the next few months just as a promotion to help you out. You would have sold a shit ton.
You want to pander to the Twitter crowd. You want to pander.
But you better make it free.
No, I was gonna say though, you could spin it that way. We want tabletop to be for everyone. We want it to be inclusive. To be more inclusive, we're lowering our prices so more people can be brought to the table. And it really doesn't cost you. You'd sell more books.
Well,
right?
Or lower your price on the digital. Because the digital's going to say 50 because they're trying to force everybody to go digital anyway. Make the digital 30. You're still making tons of money on it as opposed to what you make on the print books, because you have to sell it to retailers. They have to have markup too. Sell it for, say we're doing a digital version for like half price. You'd still make a ton of money. You get a bunch of downloads, and you would have been ahead on a PR angle. You all could just hire us and then save yourself a day. And our name isn't Cox.
So good luck with all that.
Yep.
I really, truly hope that you find the success you're looking for, Mr. Cox, because it's just not gonna go the way you think it's gonna go. We're gonna wrap this up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.